Samuel and David, two names etched in history forever, two lives intertwined deeply with God. They lived long ago, but their stories still speak to us. Samuel the prophet, David the shepherd king. Both faced a world soaked in sin and darkness. They saw darkness all around them, yet they chose to follow God. Their lives weren't easy. They faced temptations, they felt pressure, but they held on to their faith. Samuel and David teach us a powerful lesson. We can stay pure, even in a world that has lost its way. Imagine their world. Picture a time and place where the very essence of life was different from what we know today. A world where everyone around you worships idols. The air was thick with the scent of incense, and the streets echoed with chants to gods made of stone and wood. A world where leaders are corrupt. They spoke of justice but acted with deceit, filling their coffers while the people suffered. A world where doing wrong is the norm. This was Samuel's reality. He saw dishonesty and immorality all around him, and it weighed heavily on his heart. He grew up in the temple. The flickering candlelight was his constant companion, and the sacred texts his guide. He saw the priests, the very people who should have honored God, turn away. They were greedy, they abused their power, they took bribes and led the people astray. David faced his own battles. Though he lived in a palace, his life was far from easy. He lived in a palace filled with intrigue and betrayal. Every corner held a secret, every shadow a potential threat. His own family doubted him. They questioned his abilities and his destiny, making his path even more challenging. He was hunted by a jealous king. The very man who should have been his mentor became his enemy, driven by envy and fear. Everywhere they looked, sin had taken root. It was like a disease, spreading and corrupting everything it touched. They could have easily given in. The temptation to follow the crowd was strong, the path of least resistance so inviting. They could have said, "Everyone else is doing it," but they didn't. They stood firm in their faith, resisting the pull of the world around them. They chose a different path. They chose God. In a world filled with darkness, they became beacons of light, guiding others towards righteousness. How did they do it? How did they manage to stay faithful in a world full of distractions and temptations? How did they resist the pull of the crowd, the pressure to conform and follow the masses? They made small, daily decisions to honor God. Each choice, no matter how minor, was a step towards their commitment. Samuel stayed close to God's word. He prayed. He immersed himself in the scriptures, seeking wisdom and guidance. He listened for God's voice. In the stillness, he found clarity and direction. He refused to compromise his beliefs, even when it was hard. Even when others tried to sway him, he stood firm. David also leaned on God. In moments of despair and joy, he turned to his faith. He wrote psalms, pouring out his heart to God. His songs were a testament to his unwavering faith. He sought guidance from God. In every decision, he looked up for divine direction. He repented when he stumbled. Acknowledging his mistakes, he sought forgiveness and strength to move forward. Their decisions weren't always popular. They were mocked. They were persecuted. Yet they remained steadfast. But they stayed true to what they believed. Their faith was their anchor, keeping them grounded. They teach us that purity is a choice, a conscious decision made every day. It's a daily decision to say yes to God and no to sin. Each moment, each choice brings us closer to a life of faithfulness. The world hasn't changed much, has it? We still face temptations every day, just like those who came before us. The challenges may look different, but the essence remains the same. We still feel pressure to compromise our values and beliefs. The weight of the world can be overwhelming, and the choices we face can be daunting. The news is filled with stories of greed, corruption, and despair. It's easy to feel disheartened when we see so much negativity around us. But Samuel and David whisper a message of hope through the ages. They remind us that even in the darkest times, there is a light that can guide us. They remind us that we can live differently. We can choose integrity. We can choose God. It won't be easy, and the path may be filled with obstacles, but it will be worth it. The journey towards righteousness is challenging, but the rewards are beyond measure. Because when we choose purity, we find true freedom. We break the chains that bind us and soar to new heights. We find peace. We find God. In the stillness, we connect with the divine and discover a serenity that the world cannot offer. So let's be like Samuel and David. Let's draw strength from their stories and stand firm in our convictions. Let's stand firm in our faith, no matter the storms that come our way. Our faith is our shield, protecting us from the trials of life. Let's be lights in a dark world. Let's make God proud by living lives of integrity, hope, and unwavering faith.